welcome to the Empowered Morning Show. We are here bright and early, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Listen, I'm
Bright-eyed
going
and
out of
bushy tail.
you know how Beyonce says, I woke up like this, baby. We wake up bright-eyed
Like,
and bushy-tailed in the spirit. Now, I ain't saying naturally. It's like, the spirit is bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, baby. We is rising and shining and taking the day and being glad in it. So thank y'all for
amen.
being here this morning. Sparkle and Natasha, look, another beautiful day in the neighborhood to empower
Amen.
and inspire and motivate people to live their best life and become him,
Exactly.
become her, whatever God calls you to. So good morning, good morning, good morning.
Let
Miss
me
Phyllis,
talk
how you?
about Angela. Angela is looking beautiful this morning. This
Mm.
glow is
Girl, it's the
everything.
girl, it's the glow. It's
And
raining outside.
these
It must be the moisture in the atmosphere.
I'm getting ready to call up Mr. Lewis and let him know. Do you know your wife that has her shoulders all hanging out like
And don't
that?
let her out of the house.
Do you know what your wife is showed up
No,
on this media world at
did you
looking like
see
her
that?
shoulders are all glowing and glistening? Yes, I'm calling my brother.
Yes, girl. Look, that's that baby oil gel, baby. Get you some. Like that Vaseline. Keep it on stock,
That baby oil gel is bomb.
baby. Yes.
But
You
what
see
we
them
not gonna
showing
talk
out already,
about,
ladies.
baby.
Thank y'all for being here. We appreciate y'all being on this morning because I'm telling y'all, yesterday, if you missed it, go back and watch it. We had Kendall Henderson on from DFWDN Gospel Radio Station, which is on Live 365. It's the internet 24/7 gospel station. And I'm
Yeah.
telling you, it was such a beautiful thing. It was such a beautiful thing that for Rika, we were talking, and so she shared her advertisement, and he went right on and put it onto his social media platforms, and
Wait
that's
a
what it's
minute.
all about.
Did she share the advertisement?
Oh, girl, she showed the beautiful, beautiful,
Because
beautiful flyer that she had. Yes,
that
where she tell you
advertisement she had, I had to look 3 times. Like, is that
she
my
looked
sister
gorgeous.
Farika? Cause a baby, when I say she popped out on y'all was not ready for Farika to
At
shine like
all,
that.
at
But
all. Good morning,
that's called
Angel.
that's the becoming. When you
Hmm.
become, you upgrade who you are, and what people thought you usually would do or how you
Mm-hmm.
normally would do things
Mm-hmm.
is no more. So this
Mm-mm.
her standard now is that high.
She elevated.
Yeah,
She,
and
Elevated.
when you have standards that high, that means everything in your life has to follow those type of standards. Because
correct.
I'm not average anymore. I'm not like them. I'm not like
Yeah.
them.
There's no going back. There's no going
Thank
back.
you.
She's now
Yes,
leveled
we're
up.
not
So
going
it's,
back.
yeah.
Once you
Yes.
elevate, you here.
keep keep going, moving forward. There's no
Yeah,
backward in anything. And for Rika, it was so beautiful,
it
looks so
was.
amazing. And the thing about it is, because she looks so good, it makes other people say, you know what? If she look like that, and she gonna
I
do
want
I
to
me,
want
look
to
like
look
that.
I'm
like
gonna
that.
look good
Yep.
too. Exactly. So I love it. And shout out to Kendall for promoting that for her on all of his platforms. He came on and really talked about his heart for the kingdom of God and sharing the gospel. So again, follow his platforms. Tune in when you can. I listened a little bit yesterday. The God, I mean, good old fashioned, good soul saving gospel. Make
Oh,
you feel like, oh, all right, Jesus loved me. This I know. You know what I'm saying? That
yes.
kind of gospel. So make sure y'all tune in and tap into that. But today we are going to she said, go God, go.
Yeah.
Yes, amen to that.
Let's go, God.
Let's
Let's
go.
go. Yes.
That sparkle thing, baby. She get to hitting that
That bell.
bell and everything, and then Natasha's in her head saying, "But it's very, very, very high speed season."
Absolutely. The very,
She
You
won't
know
very
say it,
what's
but baby,
you know what's
it's
way too
marinating in
well.
her spirit.
yes.
You know what's way too
We
well.
still on the countdown. She's in the real very, very, very now because we're
Two
so
more
close.
days.
So
Yes,
close.
birthday celebration loading. Good morning, Cynthia Lewis. Um, it's such a good thing, to celebrate yourself. And a lot of times we wait on other people to do it. And when you're waiting on somebody else, they may not still give you the way that you
Hmm.
want it. So
Amen.
be that one that celebrates who you are with or without the applause of other people. Be
Mm.
that person who says if I want to celebrate 10 days before, 50 weeks after, you know what I'm saying? Some people celebrate the whole month. Some people say I'm celebrating like Dr. Sparkle. They say they celebrate the entire year.
And I am.
I just take a week. I
There's
just take a
nothing
week.
wrong with that.
Nothing.
Celebrate you.
The only thing that's wrong with it is if you let it be wrong because somebody else said something about it.
Facts.
If
Look
you
at
let
you.
it change
Right.
who you are, that's when something's wrong with it. Because I don't care how you choose to celebrate you. If you're not over there harming nobody, then that's your business. Celebrate you like never before.
Cynthia said every day is okay. Be okay with celebrating you, because at the end of the day, the God in you deserves to be celebrated. Miss Phyllis said, honey, March is marching. Yes.
That's right, Miss Phyllis.
That's what we got to get into.
Marching. I ain't gonna even lie. Marching has some blessings in store. Like it
March, honey.
Marching.
Manifestation March. Marvelous March. I mean, March. All the things in March that you can think about, make it happen for you. Make it happen March. But the reality is there's a lot of people that we talk about celebrating yourselves and all of that, but there's so many people who wake up with anxiety. They wake up with, feeling some type of way, and they just can't get past that. Good morning, Miss Patricia. They can't get past worrying about their situation. They can't celebrate themselves because they feel like there's so much going on. I don't know how to celebrate me because I'm so anxious about what's going on in the world or what's happening in my life right now. And Natashah, let's delve into that a little bit.
Yeah, so because I'm a person that, first of all, started with your day-to-day anxiety and then was diagnosed with chronic anxiety many years later. I'm talking like 10 plus years. Anxiety is a natural human response to stress. It's not a feeling. A lot of people have that feeling like I'm anxious. That's not a feeling. Your anxiety is actually symptomatic of what you're really feeling, which is you're worrying, right? You're underneath that, there's this feeling of fear. There may be shame. There may be some exhaustion tied into that. There's a lot more feelings that are going into that drives us symptomatically feeling anxious. So I love the way we're tying in celebration here, because when I talk a lot about self-care and self-love, I have a lot of clients that will say to me that I feel guilty for taking time to take care of me. Right? You're so busy taking care of everyone else and doing for everybody else that the idea of pressing pause and taking care of myself, that can actually give someone anxiety, believe it or not. They will actually feel anxious about that. We've evolved as women in our healing journey that we look forward to celebrating ourselves, but there are a lot of people out there, like you said, that don't.
Yes.
So
a lot of people.
One of what I've noticed in this past week of our show and what we've been talking about is all about trusting God and waiting for God, right?
Yes.
And I always joke all the time about, when I say joke, just kind of lightheartedly, but it's true, where I oftentimes will say I trust God, but I find myself getting in the driver's seat of my issues or my problems and trying to intercede on God's behalf, right?
Yes.
And so that's a result of anxiety. That's me saying, yeah, I trust you, but you know what? I really don't want to wait because I'm over here worrying. I'm over here stressing. From my eyes and what I'm seeing, this doesn't look like it's going to have a really good outcome. I don't know how this is going to turn out. And the more that I sit there and project, and the more that I sit there and I worry, I'm no longer waiting patiently. I'm no longer being hopeful to what God has in store. As my feelings build, the anxiety pushes me back into the driver's seat and causes me now to get in God's way. Right? And that happens like this. What I just explained doesn't necessarily have to happen.
You say from 0 to 100 quickly. Yeah. And you know what it makes me think of? When you have a kettle on the stove, like you're boiling water for tea or whatever. Underneath that, you may not see it hollering in the beginning, but that water is heating up.
Yes.
It's heating up to the point that when it gets to a certain degree, then you hear that little howling sound when it's whistling.
Yeah.
Because the steam is coming out because it's reached that boiling point. Well, that is to me what it sounds like when you're
Yes.
anxious. You have feelings up underneath, and you may say, "Oh my God, I got to do this and got to do that," and they need this deadline, and oh Lord, I got to go pick the kids up because somebody said they didn't get such and get them on time, and oh my God, my money is due for this right here, and if it's not, they're probably gonna either pick my car up, repossess my house, or
Yeah.
cut my lights
We
off, or
talking
whatever
about
the
real.
issue is. So when you start thinking, and the movie that Taraji P. Henson did, that was it Straw? The straw,
yeah.
the straw that breaks the camel's back. But there was a series of things that she snapped, and anxiety.
And it's a series of feelings.
Yeah,
right.
It was a buildup.
Correct.
Yes.
Hers went from day to day, and she did what she could do. Like, I'm trying. Leave me alone. Like she's trying to tell people, get out of my way. I'm minding my own business. And they just kept poking,
right?
Yeah.
But this is where, and life is going to do that to us, right?
Yes.
Let's keep it real. The world is going to poke at us. But this is where that intimate relationship with God is so important. For me in this season, and with all of my ratings, it's coming back to like, okay, God says, wait. Okay. And I say, I trust him. But does my actions show that I really trust him? Because if I'm still anxious, if I'm still worrying, if I'm restless, if I'm irritable, if I'm discontent, if I am still frustrated, whatever I might be feeling, then I'm not waiting patiently for God. I'm actually stewing. I'm actually stewing underneath the surface. It's like I'm saying out loud, yeah, I trust him. Yeah, I trust him. But here in private, right? I'm feeling restless, irritable, discontent. And I'm not dealing with those feelings. I'm feeling them, but I'm not doing anything with it. I always say to people all the time, where do you think your feelings go? Do you think they just kind of magically poof and just disappear?
Because that is a good one. Wow. Where do you think your feelings go?
Right? Guess what happens? When your feelings, where they go, they manifest themselves in natural reactions. That's the bubble gusts. The bubble gusts that you feel like you all over the place, or the panic attacks that you have,
or the headaches,
or the severe headaches. The manner it does go somewhere, it becomes into a physical thing. And if you allow it to build up, now you have blood pressure issues. Now you have some other things going on in your body. Maybe you have heart problems. You have things that happen to you as a result of
and when it gets unmanageable, now we go to the doctor and now we get a diagnosis. And now some of us get mad at diagnosis and we're like, you ain't diagnosing me. I'm not taking any kind of medication or whatever that might look like. But you've allowed what we just explained to sit there for at least 6 months. Right? You've allowed it to sit and fester. And I love your analogy of the percolating water. Those emotions have been percolating for a while. Now let's tie that back into addiction, because anxiety, when chronic and diagnosed, is a mental health disorder, and mental health is underneath the umbrella of addiction, right? So in conjunction with the symptoms that we're feeling, right? The restlessness, the irritability, the discontent, all the feelings. There's also a chemical reaction that's happening, because as I feel those feelings, and this is kind of a rhetorical question, which one of us are going out there and doing self-care? We're not meditating. We're not stretching. We're not going for a walk. We're not taking a minute to breathe, right? What happens in the brain is that when we get emotionally stressed, the brain shuts down on us. The prefrontal cortex, the thinking part of your brain, actually goes to sleep. Because what happens is when your brain gets to a threshold where there's too much emotional stress, it sends a message to the brain that it's being threatened or that it's being harmed, and you go into survival part of your brain. This is where people don't realize.
Is so good.
This is where people don't realize that this is not a choice. I'm not choosing to be anxious, or I'm not choosing to have anxiety, right? What I'm choosing to do is not treat the symptoms that's causing the anxiety. Two completely different things, right? So now I'm emotional. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to get a little clarification. So then would that be equivalent to, you know how you have a power, you have a cord, you plugging things into the socket, right? Well, you can plug one thing too many and everything shuts down. Now you got to go flip a breaker, right? So it's equivalent to putting too much pressure to where
the breaker is now off.
The TV on, everything is good. until you plug in one thing. You might say, "Well, I'm
Correct.
gonna plug in a little heater," and next thing you know, boom, everything goes out
So
because you
yes,
overloaded it.
1,000%. So we have this thing in the prefrontal cortex called an emotional regulator. From the time that you're born and the brain's developing every 4 years, is a part of the brain that is maturing, right?
Right.
As you learn healthy coping skills, you strengthen the brain's ability to regulate emotion. If you don't learn healthy coping skills, that part of the brain is underdeveloped. So when you are emotionally stressed and this part of the brain isn't developed, it's weak. So the brain, think of it as a muscle, is weak, so it's not going to be strong enough. It's going to collapse, so to speak. So yes, you pull up that cord, right? You lose that power, you lose that source. So the brain now goes into automatic pilot. It's a defense mechanism. It's an automatic defense mechanism. The brain is protecting you. So you know how you have a computer and when there's a bug on it, it kind of goes into safety mode. That's what our brain is doing when we do nothing with our emotions. When we want to just shelve our emotions and we want to bury our emotions and we want to act like, ooh, everything's okay. No, things aren't okay. Life is falling apart. Own it. Your life's falling apart. Guess what? You're not the first person's life to fall apart, and you ain't going to be the last.
And you won't be the last. That is absolutely
right.
true.
So, and for us as believers, this is where we've got to stop talking the good talk, and we got to walk the good walk. Right? Stop saying that you trust God, but you're over here, having anxiety, and now you have to get now there's this diagnosis, and now you got to take medications. In recovery, I live a very holistic life, and I've learned on how to practice holistic things to teach my brain how to produce those chemicals so I can have that chemical balance.
Okay.
Right? So for instance, if I eat green foods, my brain produces dopamine. If I go outside and I just absorb nature, and whether you could be in the forest, you could be in the jungle, you could be at the beach, you could be going for a walk, and under sunlight, I'm going to get serotonin. Right. Okay. Just the way we cut up in the morning before, behind stage, we are actually producing serotonin in the brain just by laughing.
Yes.
And that connection with each other.
Got
right.
It.
So when you're outside and you're exercising or inside, I do Pilates, you do stretches, whatever, that's actually increasing GABA in the brain. Right. So there's all these natural things that we could be doing to help restore the chemicals in the brain. But if
I know, right?
I know, right?
We
want to study the brain more. We got to be sure and bring notepads in the morning.
I'm sorry.
No.
The reality is real.
This is what we need.
It's what we need in order to shift and become her. You got to know how to regulate, and you got to know, because you will hear things, you will see things, and people say, "Oh, don't worry, be happy." The little cute phrase, "Don't worry, be happy."
That's cute.
And it sounds good. But for a lot of people, they're trying
But how do I get there?
What do I do in order to get there? So we can say, okay, Natashah, we need a list.
And I'm dead serious about that, because becoming her is living the life that you talk about, that God says about, that people will see. Your fruits of the Spirit has to be what God, you didn't see him, even when they was taking him to the cross. You didn't see him like, oh my God.
He wasn't freaking out. He was calm. He was collected. He was at peace. Yep.
He had peace past understanding. If we don't go back to the simple thing, Jesus loves me, yet this I know. It's that simplified breathe, because Jesus loves me, this I know. If just keep regulating that in your spirit over and over and over. And I have learned that write-offs work so good for me, because when I'm doing the write-offs, I'm saying it out loud. God loves me, this I know. And it's another way what you said, you learn how to get these emotions under control.
Absolutely. That's our responsibility.
Your emotions, your flesh runs and it runs amok, and you have to tame it. It's just like women know when you get certain sizes or you're trying to get in something, they call them shapers. You put a shaper on in order to conform your body into a better form so that you can do, certain things versus it's all over the place. You got to shape your
Yes.
emotions. You got to tame them down and, make sure they're under control. You don't just let them be
you're
all
hitting
over the
with
place.
those analogies this
It's
morning,
a
friends.
she.
You
And
are.
not
I love
only
it.
that, when you put that shaper on for the first time, it's not comfortable.
It's not
Mhm.
Not
comfortable.
comfortable.
You gotta
It
stretch
doesn't
it out.
feel right. You like,
it's tight. It's
it's
constricting.
tight. It's so tight. So
True.
just remember, anything that you start doing, it's not gonna feel right. It's not gonna feel good.
And this ties into what you guys asked the other day about, like, why is it that people want to change but don't change? For exactly what you're saying, Dr. Sparkle, because they get to that place of emotions and they're like, I don't want to feel that. Right?
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, well, if you don't want to feel it, again, where do you think you're putting the emotions? Where is it going?
Yeah.
Right?
And some people put them in alcohol, like that's where alcohol start coming. Sex.
They say you drown your sorrows. You start thinking.
But the difference in those quick fix, when you overcome it, like when you're no longer in it, those feelings say, "Hey, do you remember me? I'm still sitting here. You're not.
We're here."
And that's why relapse happens. That is why relapse happens, because
and not only that, Natashah, this is how suicide starts adding up. Like when you talk about the analogy of the teapot on the stove, this person didn't just wake up and say, "I'm gonna kill myself."
Correct.
True.
Correct.
True.
This person is outside trying to pretend to be the best person that they possibly can. They're giving it as all. But what they're doing inside, they're living on the outside. But inside,
they're dying
slow by slow in the inside. I shall live and not die. Like God told us the word for a reason. And it's not just I will live and not die when you're sick. Because some sickness is on you that does not have a diagnosis yet. That has not been, nobody knows, like you were saying, nobody knows that you're sick. But deep that heart, one thing the heart does know, the heart knows and the brain knows.
And all sicknesses, people think about physical. But people always think about physical sicknesses. You know what I'm saying? They don't ever think about mentally, I'm sick. Mentally, I've got some things going on. Emotionally, I'm not well. And you rarely hear people speak about that, because we sugarcoat the I'm fine, I'm good. Oh, blessed and highly favored.
It's okay. This is how it is.
We come out with the cute catchphrases, but the reality is, mentally and emotionally, if you don't get that together, it's going to manifest itself physically anyway. So the thing
think about what you guys just said. Your heart and your brain are the two most significant organs for us to be able to be alive. And it's the two most important organs that we don't focus on.
True.
We'll focus on our bodies. We'll focus more on the outward appearance and what we look like and what we don't look like, right? But when it comes to tending to the heart, because the emotional pain in your brain is going to add stress to the heart, but also too, we think about eating unhealthy and not taking care of our bodies, and that is also affecting the heart. So if we took the time to pay attention and realize that we are causing more harm than good to ourselves, and then we get mad and we get upset because God ain't coming through fast enough.
So you're telling me it's okay when I'm stressed out. It's not okay for me to sit on the couch, get my pint of ice cream, and just sit on the couch and eat my pint of ice cream.
I mean, listen, at the end of the day, you can do what you want to do, right? We're grown adults, but I want you to think about that for a second. When we think about that chemical imbalance in the brain, you're not moving, you're immobilized, you're on the couch, so there's no movement. You're not outside. So right off the bat, there's no GABA, there's no serotonin that is flowing in the brain. You're not eating anything that it's your ice cream ain't green, and don't tell me there's mint ice cream out there because that's disgusting.
I'm sure
that's my own personal opinion. Right? So you're not producing any dopamine. That sugar from that ice cream, right, is a stimulant, just like drugs, just like methamphetamine, right? Just like coffee. What it's going to do is it's going to give you a high. You're going to get this euphoric feeling on the couch and be like, ooh, that felt good. And I can relate to this because I love me some fried chicken, and that does the same thing for me as well, right? I get this
forget some ice cream. Give me my fried chicken.
My kids love ice cream, but I love fried chicken. I haven't eaten fried chicken in 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Yes, because what happens is you eat that food and the brain gets rewarded. And when the brain is rewarded, you get this feeling of dopamine, adrenaline, GABA, norepinephrine, opioid. The brain it's like this burst of chemicals that the brain feels pleasure, right? Well, guess what? When I digest the chicken, when I digest the ice cream, I come down from that emotional high, that chemical high, right? And when I come down from it, I crash. How many of us get lethargic and get tired after eating all of those sweets or after eating all of that food, right?
Right.
And now,
you said, explain it, Natashah. Was that GABA or serotonin?
So in the pleasure center, in the reward center of the brain, you have dopamine, you have serotonin, you have GABA, norepinephrine, adrenaline, and opioid. Your brain,
the intelligence of Natashah. Like the intelligence, she's not looking at no paper. She's not, this is the
baby. She didn't get the nails popping like that.
Yes, exactly. I had it together.
I had to learn it for myself because I needed to understand why was I the only one in my family I'm gonna curse, sorry, that was screwed up in life. Why was I the only one that had addiction? Why did I have mental health problems? Because I was made to believe that I was such a problem child growing up. So when I was getting sober, I needed to understand this. And people out in the world were telling me things, but it was so surface level.
Yeah.
Right?
Now that's people for you.
Yeah, they just give me that surface level response. And I'm like, I need more than this. So I had to do the research. And when I understand what was going on, and when people said it was a brain disease, and I'm like, brain disease. And of course, being in psychology and studying human behavior, I'm just fascinated with the brain. I've worked in mental health and worked with acute mental health patients for years, and understanding, people who have schizophrenia, people who are psychopaths, sociopaths, understanding the wiring of the brain and the way the brain is functioning that leads individuals to do the things that they're doing. It's not a choice. They're not just wake up and say, oh, I'm just going to go kill that person today. There is so much stuff going on psychologically for them that we can't see and that we don't understand. So sorry, I get excited.
No, I'm sorry. I interrupted you, but can you break them back down for us? I'm sorry.
That's okay. So you want the chemicals that I'm talking about in the brain, right? So the baseline is, when you feel pleasure about anything, it could be sex, it could be food, it could be music, it could be whatever. When you get that pleasure feeling in your brain, here's what's happening. Your brain releases dopamine, serotonin, GABA, adrenaline, norepinephrine. Norepinephrine actually helps with alleviating pain. It works in conjunction with opioid. So like opiates, your brain actually produces opioids. If you ever bump your toe or you get in a car accident, the minute that your body is injured, your brain immediately releases a dosage of opioid in the brain to help alleviate pain. That is why, and a combination with adrenaline and opioid, that's why most times in an accident, you don't feel your pain right away. It is a protective measure that the brain is releasing chemicals to protect you from harm.
Wow.
You will feel pain later, right?
Did you think about people who say, like, they were shot and they were like, oh, I didn't even know I was shot.
Correct.
Because that adrenaline has you going so much that you don't even feel it until you stop. And then you're like,
it's actually the adrenaline and the release of the opioids. The body is producing its natural dose. So what happens now is
in the design of the body. You know what I'm
saying?
Correct. Right. So that's what God created in us. Our job is to fuel it in a healthy way. We are not refueling. So you think about going to a gas pump. A regular car cannot put diesel in it. It will break the
Exactly.
car.
Right.
Food, you know, and when I speak of sex, I'm not talking about sex in healthy relationships. I'm talking about
No,
lust and just kind of random sex, like being a
that's a
sexaholic
different
kind
kind
of
of
thing.
sex.
That's a
Yes.
different kind of sex, right? Consider that fuel, right? Food, sex, drugs, alcohol, anything you're doing excessively that's leaving your life unmanageable, that's unhealthy fuel for your body. So you are putting diesel in your body, so to speak, kind of a metaphor, right? And then you're expecting to run and you're expecting to function. That's not what God asked you to do in order to fuel yourself. So we are not fueling ourselves well enough. And that's why we're not running and operating as well as we could be or should be. And that's why we struggle to do what God is asking us to do. And that's why we have this gamut of other issues in our lives, right?
To break it down, Natasha,
Yes.
because the reality is for so many people, this is good because if we're talking about healing for real, you have to
Yes.
get to the root of it. And when you understand what the body is capable of doing on its
Mm.
own, then it allows you to not search for other things, but to
Yes,
actually
ma'am.
switch how
Yeah.
you
Yep.
move in life so that you can control those things. So when you need a burst
Correct.
of serotonin,
Or
then
dopamine.
or
Yep.
dopamine or adrenaline or something, then you can watch a comedy show and laugh, and you're
Yep.
automatically
Exactly.
producing that versus going
Yep.
out and doing something else to give you
Yep.
that for a temporary fix. Or you think
Correct.
about how they say, what's the one that when people hug you and you get this feeling?
Kelly said, "Can we have a 3-hour show this morning?" I mean,
Miss
I'm
Patricia
for
said,
real.
our
Like
body
this.
is a whole planet in itself.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes,
But
it
the
is.
thing about it is, and I'm going to say, Natasha, what is so beautiful about this conversation is that you have opened up a whole new awareness of appreciation of the bodies that we have.
In
And
Yes.
your
when we
mind.
can start understanding the bodies and the mind well, now that's when the self-awareness and the self-regulation comes in. So
Mm-hmm.
now you
Correct.
choose to self-stimulate yourself in areas that will really help you, not just going to put you up for a temporary high and come back down. Because the
Correct.
reality is, when they do studies and things, and they talk about sugar, well, they talk about first, let's say drugs, cocaine. Do you know that they say sugar is so many more times addictive
Yes.
in
It
gas and
is.
things than it is
Yes.
in actually doing cocaine or some other type of drug.
Correct.
And
And it's
we
still
don't
a
we
stimulant.
play with sugar because we feel like, oh, it's sugar. It's not doing cocaine. It's not doing this.
Yeah.
But your
Sugar is in
body,
everything.
sugar's
But
in
it's still not
everything.
right.
But the
Correct.
thing, but the thing about this, sugar's in everything because they
It is.
know
We
how to
normalized it.
allow us. Yes, they know what to use for us to attract us to do
Correct.
certain things. Because you're on a sugar high all the time. So you know how you have
Yeah.
little kids, you say, don't give them that before bed because they'll never go to sleep. They'll be on a sugar high. We
Yes.
have to manage that for ourselves, and we take stuff without even realizing how it is affecting our
So
moods, how we show up and do things. Go ahead, Natasha.
no, I want to touch on what you just said about the kid thing because so the according to science, the brain matures every 4 years from the time the baby's in utero. The brain is developing every 4-year cycles, roughly up until the age they've moved that somewhere between the age of 22 and 25. Males and females are different by like a year or two, right? So think about what Angela just said about giving a child sugar. Sugar is a stimulant. A stimulant is a mind and mood altering substance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A
Mhm.
mind and mood altering substance, just like illicit drugs that we tend to frown upon, rewires the brain. It changes the neural pathways in the brain. So when the brain is rewired, the way the brain functions is going to be different from someone who didn't have a mind and mood altering substance. So when we are feeding children crap and we are giving children sugar, you are rewiring the brain. And when they get to 10 years old and you wonder why they're diagnosed with ADHD or a cognitive vulnerability or some cognitive disability, it's because of what we've been giving them that has been rewiring the neural pathways of the brain. And then we get upset because now I got to spend money on doctor's visits and now I got to do this or I got to do that. Some of us aren't even spending any money. Our kids now, because of this mental problem, are having behavioral issues. And my biggest pet peeve is when someone says, well, that's their terrible twos. And well, they're just being a kid. And that's just, they are being a teenager. And I'm here to say, we need to wake up. You need to pay attention, because we labeling these children, you are missing the signs of a more chronic issue that will develop when they get into their teen years or in their early 20s. And then we want to judge them and say, oh, well, look at them, and they weren't raised right, and this wasn't that, and da 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 da. And now we have all of these. I'm sorry, I went off on a tangent.
No,
This, I'm passionate about.
it's so real. Like,
It's real and good.
it is so great, because again, how much money is pharmaceuticals making off
of us,
off of
what we're doing. Absolutely.
That we're doing, not to just ourselves, but to our bodies. When you think about, my daughter boyfriend is a personal trainer, so he's very, very, very into food. Well,
very.
Yes.
Is he March? So is he a March born?
Yeah. Roman noodles, y'all. Do you know what a Roman noodle is?
Don't get into that.
And think about the foods that are the cheapest cost foods, okay?
Mm-hmm. Seasonings. The cheapest seasonings are not good for you. It's
the
so
least expensive. Mm-hmm. If they're saying it's $2, you might say, okay. And noodles are what now? They have went up to like what, 45 cents, 50 cents a pack or something like that. If something that costs less than $1 is saying it will, and I'm saying this from experience. In college, that was my meal. Like that was. I'm not even gonna hate on Roman, because Roman got me through some good times. Let me tell you, put some hot sauce in it, then add even more worse things inside.
But it becomes cement in your stomach.
Yes,
right.
But let's think about that. You can, if that meal is less than $1. Less than $1, and they say you can put it in the microwave, because that's a whole nother thing. You can put it in the microwave and you will be full to the capacity that it sustains your body.
More like it shuts down your body.
Yes.
Because again, temporary relief. It's cheap, right? It's quick, because we want everything fast in a hurry, because God forbid we slow down and take some time to actually cook something that's fresh, right? So everything, and that's the way of this world. And that is what feeds addiction. It's that instant gratification. I want what I want when I want it, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get it, right?
I got so many ouches today.
Ignoring the health risks involved, ignoring how that over time is going to impact your heart and how that's going to impact your brain. Again, two very important organs in the body that we are not paying attention to.
We don't. Right? Because you just imagine that you wake up and if everything is still doing what it's supposed to do, you're able to walk, you're able to move, you're able to talk. You don't ever think about, because you don't see it, because it's not beating on the outside. It's not doing what it does on the outside. So you just assume that everything is good, and you have no idea until it gets to the tipping point to where it's some symptoms that come out that now you need to go into, and you're passing out. Now,
and then you want to fix it. I think you talked about this earlier. But you want to fix it right now
to get to there. I'm gonna go back to the analogy that you were talking about of giving kids sugar. And so think about this. You said that sugar reacts in how it helps to rewire the brain, because now you're operating on something that has effectively changed how you would normally behave. Because without sugar, people are calm, they do things, they think. But when you get a child who's high on sugar, their energy levels all over the place. They want to do stuff. They're doing crazy stuff, and you're just like, why are you throwing this tantrum? Or why are you doing this? And they're yelling and screaming. Or somebody says, I'm on right now. All of those things come from just basic levels of overdoing sugar. Well, you look at a child and think, oh, they're just hyperactive and this, that, and the third. But if I were to do the same thing and say, Dr. Sparkle, you don't drink. But if I give you alcohol and tell you to drink all this alcohol, and then she starts having behavior where she's taking her clothes off and she's dancing on the table and she's doing all these crazy things, that reaction that she gets from the alcohol is no different from the child that you give all this candy and sugar to, right? It's the same behavior. It's the same behavior. But you don't recognize
Ring that bell, Dr. Sparkle. Ring that bell.
You don't recognize it in the child like you would an adult who's over here in overindulging, because we see people all the time when they're drunk. He's like, look at them. They stumbling all over the parking lot. They're knocking things over. They're, being loud and obnoxious. And you're thinking, oh my God, they're drunk. Well, the child is not drunk with alcohol, but they
They're
are.
they're drunk off the sugar. They're drunk with it's the overstimulation. It's the excessive overflow of the chemicals in the brain. Again, everything is coming back to the reward center of the brain and the pleasure that you're experiencing. And you can experience too much pleasure. I don't know if anybody's ever noticed, you ever laugh so hard you get a headache?
Oh, yes.
That hurts. That's too much serotonin in the brain. It's an overflow. It's an excessive overflow of serotonin in the brain that causes that, almost like a brain spasm. Anything done in excess is unhealthy for the human body. Anything that you do in excess, even the things that are the most pleasurable to you in excess, is not good for you. We have to learn to balance. That's why it's mind, body, spirit. And many of us will just focus on the spirit or just focus on the body and just ignore the mind altogether.
But we push the limit because y'all just think, how sometimes, like I used to love to go to 7-Eleven or somewhere and get like an icy. And you know how you get that and you suck it up and then you get a brain freeze. You're like, oh my God, it's a brain freeze. But we still push on and keep going. We don't think about the different times where you have things that happen and you have little bitty spurts of brain freezes, or, a slight pain or something, or a headache that comes on. You ignore those things because sometimes the brain freeze happens for a moment and you close your eyes and you scrunch up and you're like, oh, there's a brain freeze, until it settles down. And then you go right on back to sipping the rest of the icy, right? Same thing for how we do with everything else. We bypass these different symptoms that come as a result of things that we know we don't need to be doing in excess of.
And now somebody judges an addict for going, well, they were drinking, they got a DUI. Why'd they go back? For the exact same reason of what you just said.
Yes, kept on sucking up. Like,
right.
I'm telling you.
Because you like the taste of it.
And I love ices. So, and I love sugar. See what people don't realize. I don't drink alcohol, but you love sugar.
But alcohol breaks down as bad sugar in the body. So aren't we just still doing the same thing?
You're no better than a person that's drinking.
Correct.
You're no better.
But you convince yourself that you are, because we tend to tell ourselves that, okay, well, at least I don't do drugs. At least I'm not out here having sex with everybody.
Here comes the judgment.
That's exactly where we're going. And you sit there and say, well, I don't smoke. I don't do alcohol. I don't do this and I don't do that. But Natashah, when I say you owe me so hard, I just bought the ingredients to make a cake. Guess what's going back? Those ingredients form the cake, because I'm addicted. And that addiction, and just in this conversation, no, Natashah, thank you so much. Just in this quick conversation, God brought, and I know it's not just me that's getting a full revelation from this.
Not.
Just on March 12th, 2026, God is saying, I'm hearing God says, if you're going to scream around talking about how much you love me, if you're going to scream, I believe God, I trust God, then I expect you to get some stuff together.
Show up.
You need to elevate, and you need to show up and get some stuff together. You need to learn discipline. You need to learn patience. You need to learn endurance. You need to and stop all this. Well, I'm just having it's just a little.
It's just
that
one
little. That little that we call just a little. It's a king size. And just because you didn't eat the whole bag, now you're gonna give yourself a little grace because but I didn't eat the whole thing. No.
So in AA we have a saying that goes, one is oh my God, it just escaped my brain. One is too much and 1,000 is never enough, or something like that. I don't know why my brain just shut down on me. But it basically says that same justification of, I think I could just have one. No, the reality is when you had that one, it brought pleasure. And if you don't know how to experience pleasure in a healthy way, you're going to go back to it again. So addiction is a progressive illness. People start with experimenting with something. From experimentation, we go to using it socially. From using it in a social atmosphere, we're now doing it on a high functioning level where it's now incorporated in our day to day. From high functioning, over time, that becomes a chronic problem. What I'm speaking on isn't just about drugs and alcohol. This is one of the reasons, and this is where I believe this is where God has gifted me. We live in a world that when we hear the word addiction, we think alcoholic, drug addict. That's it. And we shut the door. And the rest of the world looks upon them like they're the scum of the earth, like there's something wrong with them. And they are human beings. They are super intelligent, highly creative human beings, and they have the biggest hearts you will ever find. Here's the key thing that separates an addict from anybody else in the world who claims that they're not an addict. In our brain, right? And I have a friend who does this, and he does this so well. So I'm going to do my best to kind of mirror this. In your brain, you have this threshold in your brain. So somebody who doesn't battle with the disease of addiction, when they use something that creates pleasure, they get a spike. And I want you to think of an EKG machine. They get a spike in dopamine, and then they come down to their baseline, right? Someone like me who struggles with this disease, when I do something for pleasure, I get a spike. I drop below the baseline. I have no baseline. I have no bottom. I'm bottomless.
So you got to do something else right behind that to get back to at least the baseline.
Just to get back to the baseline.
Get back to the baseline.
I have to do a lot more between here and here just to get back to where the non-addict is.
Just to get.
Because you have blown your system of go high and come back down because of doing it in excess. Whereas somebody who.
Yes and no. There's a likelihood. So addiction has a biological component to it. So the excess comes later. The individual is born into this with a chemical imbalance.
Got it.
You're coming into the world with a family history of mental health and or substance abuse that many of us don't talk about. So it's like you're coming out the gate predisposed to develop the addiction issue, right?
So that would be like a diabetic who says, I've got a history of diabetes. So whereas you might can eat a whole cake, over time, I've been eating cake and cookies and candy and sodas and all these things with all the extra sugar. Well, at some point, my meter goes to the point where now I have to have medicine to regulate it because I'm predisposed to.
So we get that from the doctor, right? That we're predisposed. And you used the word ignore earlier. And a lot of people are like, yeah, well, I don't have the problem right now. Okay. But if you keep living an unhealthy life, you better believe you stand the risk of having that problem at a much later date. Right?
Exactly.
You think about, so addiction is brewing underneath the surface before the age of 12. The average mean age for a child using substances, mind and mood altering substance, now is about 11 to 12 years old, if not a little bit younger. So I'm going to give it at about 11 years old. So if you're coming out the gate predisposed with a chemical imbalance in the brain, and in the first 11 years of life, let's tie in carbohydrates. We were talking about sugar earlier. Forget your candy, because somebody will say, well, I don't like candy and I don't like sweets. Your pastas, your bread, gluten is a binding agent. And I just discovered this in my health journey in the last 2 years. Gluten is poison for anybody's body. And it causes you to, it inflames you. In women, it raises our cortisol levels. And if you look at women in America, our lower body fat, that little lower, we all have it. It's almost like we got up one morning and everybody's got one. It's because of the foods that you're eating that is causing inflammation. When I cut out my gluten, I lost that bottom part of my belly. It's taken me 2 years, but I've had to get into a routine of getting rid of sugar, saturated fats, and gluten in my body to get rid of the inflammation. I was 175 pounds 2 years ago. I am now 135.
Go back to the gluten, because if y'all think about it, I don't remember even from 30 years backwards ever hearing about gluten. Ever hearing that when you go, because now when you go, you always see it says gluten-free products, right? But before, nobody was diagnosed with issues
Nobody
with
was
gluten.
talking about
We
it.
ate bread, we ate all pasta, we did a lot of
Right.
things. So that lets you know that progressively things have been added into these types of foods that creates the issue to where now where your body used to could process certain things with, now
Mm-hmm.
you cannot because you got to
Mm-hmm.
a point where I'm not able to do that any longer
Listen,
because it goes straight here.
in Italy, in China, all those places, Asia, they're eating their pastas and their rice. You don't see them running around like we do. And
Exactly.
and I was watching
Exactly.
a documentary not long ago that talks about just what is put in flour here in the United States versus what the natural flour that's used overseas. My parents just traveled to Paris. My parents and my sister travel overseas a lot, and they said the food experience is so different. And when you
Mm-hmm.
walk away, you're not only full, you're not overeating. Sometimes they don't
Mm-hmm.
even empty their plates, and they're not walking away with that bloated, full, sort of disgusted
Mhm.
feeling that we
That's what
experience
they
here,
do.
Because we have
right?
a gluttonous mentality of, oh,
Yes.
clean your plate, make sure you eat
Yes.
all your food. But
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
That clean
somebody
your
around the
plate.
world is starving, so you better eat
Well,
all your stuff.
let's think about it. Our plates are this big. Do the plate really have to be this big?
That big.
Does
Yep.
it really have to be this big?
Yeah.
This is how, like, when they bring your food out, or
It's bigger
even
than
when
you.
you fix
And
your
you know what?
plate.
We hype it up and say, "Oh my God, they give you so much food.
Much
Okay,
food.
Oh
let
yeah.
me go there because they give you so much food." And we think it's so great that you're getting that much food, but
But
the
it's not.
reality is, a
It's
lot of
not.
times when you go places and they give you so much food, you need to be kind of thinking about it, like they give me a lot of food.
Oh,
Just
okay.
because they give it to you does not mean you have to eat all of that food.
Well,
No.
And
and
yes, and Paris is so different.
that pasta and that bread breaks down as sugar as well. So that's what I was
Oh
also
God.
getting at. So for those who
So
say
while
that I
people are
don't,
talking about
Oh,
somebody
okay.
else eating all that, girl, they always somewhere eating. You got a sweet tooth, girl. I wish I could. I wouldn't eat all that cake if I were you, and you over here eating a whole plate of
all the
pasta,
carbs.
and you
All
Okay.
doing
right.
so basically you're doing
Okay,
the same thing
Natasha. Okay. Dang. Like,
because you know what?
I speak from
This is
experience. I
such
was just
excellent
there.
information, though. It's excellent information because
it
the
is
reality
such
is,
great
you know how
information.
people can say, "Oh, well, I'm just going to get a taste of that, and then I'm going to let it go." But rarely do you let it go. You might say, "I'm going to get a
Do it.
spoonful," and then you say,
Don't do
"Girl, that
it.
was so good. Let me get one
It
more."
was
And then
so
you thinking
good.
about, it later on. You're like, "Well, I'm just going to get a little slice." Then you think about it,
Yeah.
And
you're
what
like, "Child, give
and
me the
what
whole
you're
pie."
describing is the mental patterns of someone with addiction. What you're
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
describing is the thing that happens with a person who's going to drugs or alcohol. So can
mm-hmm.
we remove the judgment? If we
Okay.
Yes.
understand this, can we remove the judgment and stop looking at people and putting people in boxes and be like, well, they got mental health and they got substance abuse issues and they got a food issue. We all got issues.
We
And
all have issues
We all
because
are
what I just
guilty.
described, I know everybody in the world has probably done that where you said, "Okay, well, let me just get a little bite of it right now." Then you're like, "Oh, that was so good. I'm gonna just get another little small bite." Then you're thinking about it later. You're like, "Oh, I can't wait to get home because I'm gonna give me a whole slice." Then later
Yes.
on, you think of like, "Shoot, I'm gonna watch a movie. I might as well just get the whole thing." We
Yes.
have
and then
a
I'm going to
massive
DoorDash it
compulsion.
Oh yeah. People DoorDash, they do the whole thing.
to get more of it. I don't even need to
Like,
leave
then
my
I'm
house now. I
scratching
can
my
just look
head
it up.
like,
Oh
"Lord, help,
yeah.
I'm addicted." We all are addicted to something. It is
We
something.
all
And
are
but
addicted.
see,
I'm
you
telling
justify
you.
because you're a good Christian, because you are, not overweight,
Mm,
because you're not out here messing around with any and everybody. You just keep going to the same
come on
person,
now.
answering the same booty call at the same time every night. You
Because it's the same person.
it's the
So
same
because
thing,
you have
yeah.
normalized it.
You
You
multiply it. And
justify, normalize,
but
minimize.
you will drag, we drag everybody else for all of the things they do when in actuality we're no different. And the
We are
reality
no
is
different.
when
Oh,
we
this
get
is
to the mentality to realize that I'm no different from you. I say it all the time. Somebody may say, "Girl, I wish I would be with somebody who cheats on me." Somebody else may say, "Well, I wish I would be with somebody who don't work and just play video games
Mm,
all day." Somebody
mm.
yes.
else may say, "I wish I would be with somebody who beats me." You know what I'm saying?
I wish I would be with
I wish
somebody.
I would, but we are doing
Period.
something. It's something that you're doing that somebody else would wish they would do that
Sure.
too. We
Oh my
all have to come to the
goodness.
realization that we all have, and in the quotation of we all have sinned, whatever that looks like, not necessarily the sin that you think, "Oh, I'm not killing anybody, I'm not doing this and the
Correct.
third," but we're doing things in a manner that tends to destroy us, because
But
sin is still is destroying you
sin is
in your
sin is
relationship with
sin.
God.
Sin is sin. It doesn't matter if you lied or you killed. It's a sin. Period. This whole
But we can't, but
comparison,
we don't justify it like that. We
of
think that
course.
at least I'm not a murderer, but
Yeah,
But isn't
yeah. I didn't
but
murder
isn't
somebody,
but isn't our
but you did.
judgment but isn't our judgment of others a sin? And when did we become the judge?
well,
Right?
let's take it
When?
here, Natasha.
When?
Let's take it here.
Because they feel like they have, because I have changed my life. I love the Lord now. I know all the scriptures. I know and I pray and I do the like, okay.
Okay, that's great. But you're
That's
still
great.
human
Let's
at
say
the end
this
of the
though.
day.
And thank you, Kelly, for sharing on your page. Yes, we hope people listen. But let me say this. So you say, I go out here and kill people. I don't even own a gun. I'm not shooting anybody, right? But life and death is in the power of the tongue. So when you talk about people,
Ooh,
you're
come on now.
effectively killing them as well.
Come
So
on
Got
but
now.
some
your
good
choice
sleep last
of
night.
weapon is your mouth that you use to drag people and talk about them and destroy them there. So in essence, you are a murderer. You are
Come
killing.
on, Angela.
Come
Come
on.
on, Angela. Come on. We
Woo!
might need another hour. That you're
Girl,
you're
that
speaking my language.
that is now. I mean, like I'm telling you, we have to continue this till tomorrow because
I won't be
what
here, but
I was getting ready to say Natasha won't be here. Yes, and we got a guest
tomorrow
wants to
is
be coming out tomorrow.
Friday, isn't
Tomorrow
it?
is Friday. Yes.
free
Yes,
birthday.
girl.
Just saying.
She's
Oh my
marching, like you
gosh,
should
I
have said.
forgot. But I'm
March
telling
is
you,
marching.
March is marching, and the wisdom that is coming out. and Angela's throwing out the wisdom. Natasha's throwing
She
out
is.
the wisdom. Like the wisdom that God is calling us. Like we're here for a reason. Don't think that you just happen to be on the Empowered Morning Show this morning.
Hmm.
God sends you places to hear, so the ear can hear, because what he loves us so much that he wants us to get it right. This is called love. God is pouring out his love to us because he wants us to live this life that he has called us to live the abundant life, to live long life. He wants us to have the desires of our heart. He wants us to be anxious for nothing, but in everything prayer and supplication. Like he giving thanksgiving. Like he wants this for us. So I want you to remember that God loves you so much that he brought you on an Empower Morning Show this morning to listen, to hear how the brain he produced really works.
And what we need to do to refuel.
We all are guilty. I don't know one person out here that can say I'm not guilty.
Exactly. And that's the reality of acknowledging that we're no better from anybody else. Just because you decide to eat a whole cake behind closed doors and nobody knows that you ate the whole cake, you're still no different than somebody who's out in the street and doing something else recklessly. That's reckless behavior. You don't want to acknowledge it, but it's reckless behavior. Just because you sit around and nobody knows that you're tipping with somebody's man over here and he's coming over at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, just because nobody knows, it's still reckless behavior. And we have to stop judging people and thinking that mine doesn't look like yours, but in God's eyes, it does.
Facts. Drop the mic. Drop the mic.
This can go on and on.
Be like, yes, God, I'm addicted to something. Help me with my addiction. Period.
I want to leave our audience with this, because I know sometimes people hear the word addicted and they're like, I don't know, they ain't talking about me. Change it to dependent. You are dependent on something that is not of God. And so if you are a believer, you need to be depending on him. You need to be seeking him always. We need to be trusting him. And coming back to kind of tie up what we talked about this morning is, in my trusting him, when I say I trust him, I need to be waiting and I need to be hopeful in the waiting. If I am eating fried chicken and stuffing my face with ice cream and indulging in sugar and drinking and drugging and sexing and all the things while I'm waiting, then I don't trust God. So let your behaviors determine and let you know, get honest with yourself when you evaluate your behaviors. Are you really being true to God? And are you really being true to self? That's it. You ain't got to get honest with anybody else, just you and
Right.
you.
Because when you grab or go to something else, that is saying that you're not. Because for me, I used to be like, oh, I just need a Coca-Cola to get my thoughts together. Why do I need that? Why come I can't say, God, help me settle my thoughts, or help me get focused, or help me get committed, or help me get disciplined, versus reaching for something that I feel like in my mind, because I've got this, now I can calm down and get to work. It's the same thing.
So if you guys want, when I get back next week, and the audience wants it, if we can get some feedback from them, we can talk about codependency, because now that's where we depend on people for validation, right? That's why we're always high achieving, doing, fixing, managing, controlling, enabling. We've got to do for somebody else because inside we want to feel better. That's no different than someone going to drugs or alcohol to feel better, that someone is trying to fix, manage, and control somebody else's life to feel better. So if they want, we can talk about that next time.
Yes. Oh, we'll have to ask them. We are like that is a thing. Farika, you
a list. So Natasha, you gonna have to, I can't find the comment, but she was saying we need a list. So a list of like the chemicals
in the brain
that are being released. Yeah, some things that everybody can kind of research and look into. Because y'all gonna have some homework. We need to start studying what your body does naturally, and what do you do to help it trigger it quicker.
So if people look at NIDA, NIDA, trying to find it. Yeah, so it's NIDA.nih.gov. That's where I've done my research over the last 25 years. It's the National Institute on Drug Abuse. First of all, they will break down every type of drug that's out there and showing you how it impacts the brain. And then if you go to Netflix, I don't know if Netflix has it anymore. There's a show, a documentary called What the Health. You might be able to find it on YouTube. What the Health. What the Health teaches you how foods that you're eating day to day are equivalent to what is what's in drugs. Like I remembered watching, and what stands out in my head is like 2 to 3 boiled eggs equates to 1 cigarette, the carcinogens in 1 cigarette.
Wow.
What?
Yeah. When you watch the documentary, you'll never want to eat processed food, or you wouldn't want to eat certain foods again, because eggs today, while we pay $10 a carton, eggs today aren't like eggs were 30 years ago, Angela, like you were saying. A lot of the foods we have today aren't what we had back then.
Because you know what? Good eggs, my sister-in-law had told me, but it's a little boy in my brother and sister-in-law live in Smyrna, Tennessee. And so it's a little boy there that naturally grows the eggs. But she says when you get those natural real eggs, you can actually sit them out longer. The eggs you have now, you can't leave them outside the refrigerator.
You don't have to put them in the refrigerator.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah, she said that, he grows, he has the eggs, and so he sells them. But, they're the kind that you can sit on the counter, and it's okay to grab an egg from there. It has been outside for, on the counter for a day or two or whatever, because they don't spoil and perish like the eggs that you get from the grocery store.
Think about the canned food thing you shared with us the other day about the corn. And the changing in the labeling. I actually took out some chickpeas in a can the other day, and I thought the same thing. And I washed I never used to wash them before, but I'm now thinking about whatever liquid that chickpea is sitting in, right? What is in that actual liquid? How long was that can on the shelf? I might think they just stocked today. That might have been in a warehouse for months, even if a year.
If you look at the date, some things last 2 to 4 years. And you think like
and again, to go into my body, something that I like. But that's why cans, you better wipe the outside of it,
wash
and
then
wash
the inside of it.
Because they talk about how a lot of times it may be rat urine, because they're scattered all in the warehouse. So you don't realize that opening that up, you don't realize whether it's feces or urine or something.
And that's the same for fruit.
Comes into exactly. I mean, there's so many things that we just think that just rinse it on off and going about your business. Or how many people are in the grocery store and they'll pull a a grape and put it in their mouth and eat it right then. And you know what?
So, and that ties into when you think about cancer. Cancer used to be a thing that was genetic. It was hereditary. Now there's a whole new set of cancer that has nothing to do with predisposition in family because of what we are ingesting. So my message to everybody is please be more mindful.
We need 3 hours because baby, this right here. Oh, Natasha, when I say that, you know, the wealth of information that you have is so good. And I hope that, you know, if y'all know somebody, share this broadcast, because when we talk about healing for real, this can be healing not just for your mind and your emotions, but for your body as well. This is knowledge being dropped that can really help you get to another level and feel better, because most people have joint pain, most people have inflammation, most people have, you know, issues in their body that, you know, low energy. You try to figure out where that comes from, and it's a variety, but a lot of it starts with what we're eating and not unpacking the feelings that we've been dealing with for years. So I know we're over time. We got to get out of here. Our special guest tomorrow is going to be Alexis Holmes. She's going to come in and talk about the lioness within and her 90-day devotional. She's got one, you know, for every 90 days. So, you know, let's just talk about how you can unleash the lioness within in a healthy, great way, because this is very, very, very March, and Natasha's birthday is on Saturday. So, Natasha, happy birthday in advance. Have a great birthday. Yes.
Happy birthday. We love you so much. We thank you for who you are. That's the lovely thing is I love who you are, and you are so unapologetic about it. She is who she is. And that's why you can love her, because you can love people that you gonna get what you get. Whether it's Monday, whether it's a Friday.
What you saying? I know I might be stepping on some toes. I know you might not like what I'm about to say, but guess what? You're about to get it anyway.
I ain't for everybody. I'm not for everybody.
And everybody's not for you.
And that's okay.
So that's okay. It has been a lovely, lovely, very, 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 very greatness. Because when we come back on Tuesday, Natasha will be 1 year older in the name of Jesus. So, you know, we send blessings on top of blessings, head swimming blessings before you can say, thank you, God, for one. Here comes another one. We thank you for we pray and believe that everything that you have went to prayer for in this new year, it's all coming to pass.
I receive that in Jesus' name.
Live the life that God has always promised you.
It has already begun. It has already begun. Thank you, ladies, so much.
Yes. But you got to show up your birthday Saturday. So you got to be up. You got to show up on Tuesday. You don't get a day
You'll actually see me Sunday for our book club. You'll see me Sunday.
That's right. The book club
is on Sunday.
Yeah.
See, I would have gave you Sunday off, and I would have took off. But
I might be a little late. I've got some dinner plans, but I'll be there for the ladies Sunday.
We will give you the pass. But Sunday is our healing devotional. Oh, Jesus, it is so good. If you have not tuned in with us, what is wrong with you? Something is wrong with you. Because we all need healing around this time. But one thing we do have to do is get out of here. And y'all have to get out of here too. So we love you. We believe God.
Bye.
We believe God. Have a blessed one.